Hello. Good evening. This is Kelly from Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. I am here on August 14th, early for my early access for my Spotify Premium members and Patreon members. And this, if I get it uploaded tonight, let's hope. And it should drop Friday the 16th on the podcast. And I do want to apologize. I said that my the last episode I just did for Patreon and Spotify Premium, I said it was your second one for August. It's actually your first. I'm behind on my dates here, so I'm going to get your second one up pretty soon. As you know, I strive to get 3 bonus episodes up a month for you guys. So I'm going to be working on the second one here pretty quick. Pretty soon, maybe over the weekend, let's hope. So I am here. Another case I've not heard of, but this one did make national news. But I have not heard of this. I am not drinking Java Mama right now, but I did drink my bed and breakfast one again, the cinnamon sugar banana pancakes. It is the bed and breakfast from our Sanderson Sisters collection. Very yummy. It should be coming back in October. The whole collection was here for Spooktacular July, but it should be coming back in October. Also pumpkin spice latte and cold brew is now up on the site. And Oh My Gourd is also up, which is supposed to be like pumpkin spice cupcakes with the cream cheese icing. I ordered that one, and I ordered the pumpkin spice latte. I didn't order the cold brew. You could, even if you order the cold brew, you can make that hot. It's just the cold brew is just in pods already, so you can, filtered pods, so you can just throw them in a pitcher of water and brew it for 12 hours, or 8 to 12 hours, or 8 to 10, I think it is. I always end up brewing it for longer, just because I do it before I go to bed, and then sometimes in the morning I forget to take the filter out. But I am drinking Gatorade again, get my hydration up. Okay, this is the Laurel 5, and I don't know if anybody's out there has heard of this one. I saw it on Murder Comes to Town. Man, that is a good series. And this one also on Murder Comes to Town, my very first episode, the G family murders, that was here in Illinois, but it reminded me a lot of this one. And that is my very first episode, and I noticed in my top 10 listening the percentages, that is my second one out of my top 10. So it is my second most listened to episode. And if you have not listened to that, I'm sure a lot of you have listened to mine from the very beginning. But Murder Comes to Town, episode Stips Hill Massacre. Findagrave.com and WLWT.com are my sources. Laurel, Indiana has a population of about 500. Very, very small community. And it's a community where people have lived there all their lives, or they have family that's lived there all their lives. Everybody knows everybody. It's a pretty small, tight-knit community. Nothing really bad ever happens, so this is the worst homicide in Laurel history. Or worst crime, probably, in Laurel history. Roy Napier and Angie Napier. Roy Napier was born in 1960. Angie Napier was born in 1964, and they met as kids. They were young kids. They got married in 1984. So she'd have been 20, which is, it's still young to me. But they got married and they had 3 kids, Josh, Melissa, and Jacob. They moved to Stips Hill Road in Laurel, and that was in 2004. Stips Hill is a road. There's a cemetery on it, and by the looks of it on Murder Comes to Town, if it was the actual road, I'm not sure, how they reenact stuff, but it looked like a very nice country area, and It reminded me of a place where you would go to like socials, like a big barbecue. The whole town would have something like that, and you would like go to it. It just looked like a very homey place. Now, Melissa had a daughter. They said she was 2 years old on the episode, but then I read she was 3. So she may have been between 2 and 3 years old, and her name was Ashley. On September 25th, 2011, in the afternoon, Ashley was walking along Stips Hill Road. A couple in a truck stopped to help her, and they saw that she had blood covering her feet. And they called 911, and when the police got there, Ashley's great-grandmother came for her, and the grandmother owned 20 acres, and the Napier family's trailer was on her land because they wanted to live there and stay close to family. Because, like I said, it's a close, tight-knit community. Well, the little girl said that her mom and grandparents had been killed. Police went to the home, and they lived in a trailer. While they were there at the home, a man showed up in a truck, and the police saw him. He got out, he saw the police, and he just took off running. And there's like a lot of like woods around that area. Well, he ran through the woods, and they could not catch him. They lost him. His name was Dustin Lane. They ran the plate number on his truck. They ran his plates and found out that he was Dustin Lane. But they were concerned because they didn't know if he was hiding in the woods, if he was going to come out shooting, if he, they didn't know, but they had to go into the home. So they went into the trailer. They put a roadblock up right outside that area so that nobody would come in. So they enter the trailer. They find 4 people shot to death. 2 male and 2 female. The 2 males were Roy Napier and his 18-year-old son, Jacob. Jacob was born in 1993. Melissa, their daughter, Ashley's mother, was born in 1988. She was one of the deceased, as well as Angie Napier, their mother. So, mother and father, daughter and son. They did notice that the wallets and purses had been gone through, so the place had been robbed. There were medical bottles of meds that were empty that contained OxyContin. I have not heard of that. I've heard of oxycodone, but I've not heard of OxyContin. Outside the trailer, they found drops of blood, which led to another victim. It was the body of Henry Smith, which later they found out was a neighbor. But he was not robbed. He was just shot several gunshots to the head and face. They did find a cell phone outside that looked clean, didn't look like it was damaged or had blood on it or anything. And it was dead, though. So they had to take it and get it back to the police station and get it going to see maybe whose phone it was and if there was any evidence on it. The community was totally scared when the news was coming out that this had happened in their community. They were really frightened. They were afraid to go out of their house. They were afraid to be in their house because this happened inside someone's home. Inside the trailer, they did find some .38 handgun shells all over the floor and a bloody shoe print that looked like it was from a tennis shoe with a DC was the brand. So of course, that was evidence. They had the print in blood, and there were no cell phones found inside. The victims didn't have their phones. So right there, another thing that they thought was very odd, and that was probably taken from them. So the police were called down to the roadblock because the roadblock. I didn't catch how long they were in the trailer, but the roadblock. They were called down there because Dustin Lane, the guy with the truck, came back. He told them he heard when he left and went back into the town, he heard people talking that the Napiers, there was something that happened there, and that they were, you know how rumors go, they were killed, something had happened there. Well, Dustin Lane came back and he told the police he had no idea they were killed. He went there because he was doing work for Roy, and he went there to get paid. So they asked him why did he run away from him? And he said, well, he's been in trouble with the law before. I don't know, maybe he was running from something else. And that's why he ran. And he explained it, and they said that his demeanor was genuine. That it didn't seem like there was anything that triggered them to think that he was one of them. Of course, he's still on a suspect list, but they let him go. So, they did find when they were inside they went back to the trailer, searched the trailer again, and they found a restraining order in one of the bedrooms. It was not filed yet. It was an application that was filled out. It was against their 20-year-old son, Josh Napier. He was not one of the victims. So now they got a red flag. So, another suspect. So they go to find him. They just found out that a week before the family was killed, Josh was kicked out by his dad. Him and his dad was not getting along. So they go visit Josh, who was living with his girlfriend not very far away. But nobody was home when they went there. They went back to the trailer. Family members were trying to get through the roadblock, but they weren't letting anybody in. One of the family members and friends of the community that came to the roadblock was Josh. And I'm thinking that's why he was not home at that time, because he was going to find out. Everybody heard about this, and they said that they think they found out on social media, because that's usually how everything spreads. And Josh was there wanting to know what happened. He was devastated when they told him that his family had died. He was so broken up. And he said he did not know about this restraining order when they asked him about it. He said he did not know about it, but that his mom and dad had been fighting, and that his mom was living with a guy for a while named Jim Belson. So here's another suspect. Now, Josh isn't left. Like, they don't just say, okay, we're going to, you're off the suspect list. He's still a suspect. But again, he was devastated and very broken up. So his actions were genuine. Josh was wearing the same tennis shoes, DC tennis shoes. They asked him if they could have them. He asked them what for, and they said, we just need to see them. We just want to borrow them. So he gave him his shoes. They were going to run tests to see if there was any trace of blood on them. So that's why they took them. The cell phone that was found outside the trailer belonged to Angie Napier, the mother. Her SIM card and everything, text messages, everything was erased. So, Melissa's little girl, Ashley, named Jim Belson as the killer, the guy that she lived with. Now, remember, this is only like a 2 or 3-year-old little girl. She named him as the killer. So, they pay him a visit. They tell him Angie, when they go inside, he welcomes them in. They tell him Angie was deceased. And he was really upset. Again, his actions, there was nothing wrong with the way he was acting. It was on point. And he was very welcoming to the detectives. He told him that he didn't like Roy at all, her ex-husband. And the reason Angie went over there was to visit her granddaughter. Sometimes she would have her granddaughter and she would take her home to Melissa. And she would go over there and spend time with them. Well, he didn't like Roy. And he did not want Angie going over there. And the reason why is because Roy sold his pain meds. And this Jim Belson did not approve of her going over there. There was people always going over there buying his meds from him. And he just didn't think it was right. And he worried about her going over there. Now, he had an alibi. He was He was at a cookout that day and his alibi checked out. They got a hold of the people that were there. Now, Roy had a drywall job at one time and had messed up his back. So he had been on pain meds for a while. And that's why he took the OxyContin, was for his pain. And they tested Josh's shoes. They came back negative. There was no blood found on the shoes at all. Well, now they feel like they're kind of back at square one. They did call Josh back because Josh never told him about his dad selling his pain meds. And they thought that if there was something there, he should have told him. So they asked him about it. He admits it. He said that this was the real reason they had problems. I don't know why Josh didn't tell him about it in the first place, but he said that was the reason him and his dad had problems, because he didn't like his dad doing that. Police asked if he knew of any buyers of the medicine who would want to do him harm. And he told them of a guy who lives with his mother. Josh didn't know his name, but they called his mom Blondie. So Josh went with the police and they took him. He said he knew where the house was. So they took him, showed him where the house was. They found out the owner of that house was named Berlina, Berlina Richardson. And her nickname was Blondie. Her son, his name is David Eisen. Police knew that name. I didn't catch when, I don't even think they said how long ago it was, but a pharmacy had been robbed in the area. And David Eisen was the one on surveillance busting through the glass of the place. He actually got blood on the pharmacist, and when they ran DNA, it was him. He had 15 felony convictions. He had served time. And they found out when they got Melissa's, they found a cell phone on him when they went to the house. I think they searched the house, from what I'm trying to remember. They searched the house and they found a cell phone. And I'm trying to remember, he must have been there when they went in, if I can remember that. But the cell phone belonged to Melissa, the daughter. And they found out that the day of the murder, they got killed in the afternoon. And at 6 p.m. that night, that cell phone pings at a tower right next to that house, to their house. Because David Eisen lived with his mom, and that cell phone tower is right there. You can see it right there from their front yard. And the emergency response team gathered outside the home, out in the brush, waiting to see if he was going to come out of his house, because they couldn't arrest him at the first time they went. So then they were able to get him, because then they were, going to try to arrest him. So he comes out at 6 o'clock with his girlfriend. They follow him. She runs a stop sign. They pull him over at a gas station. He got out. He had a disguise on. He had a disguise on. He said his name was Tim Eisen. He's not David. He's Tim. They asked him, why does he have a disguise on? I mean, it was like a beard, mustache. I forget what all it was. And he said, well, there's a murderer on the loose. I don't want to be, recognized. Well, they look in his trunk and they find an AR assault rifle. I put AR, but assault rifle. And a .38 handgun in his truck. So, they searched his house. This is where the search of the house was. This is where they find the, this must have been where they found the cell phone. Either that or they found the cell phone in the yard. I am not sure exactly how they got a hold of the cell phone. But somehow they did get a hold of the cell phone, unless that was when they searched the house. They found the DC sneakers. And the sneakers looked like they had been in a washer. Now, he denies knowing the Napiers. He's like, I don't know them. And then he just quits talking. He's like, I'm done. Well, then they're able to arrest him. They are able to arrest him. And the community was totally shocked. They knew David Eisen. He was a part of Laurel Indiana for his whole life. People in the area went to school with him. They could not believe that he did this. That everybody was in shock over this. February of 2012, he pled guilty on 5 counts of murder and armed robbery. The OxyContin he would always buy from Roy, and what happened is he went there to get some, and Roy told him he has to raise his price because his Medicaid was running out, and he's going to have to buy the pills himself. They went from $10 to $12, and I don't know if that's a pill. I know that, I don't know if that's a pill. I know they're expensive, and they're so much a pill, or if that's like for so many, but he had to raise the price, and David wasn't going to pay anymore. He said no. Then he just pulls out his gun and just starts shooting the family. 18-year-old Jacob is sitting in a chair watching TV. Before he can even get up, he shoots him. He shoots Roy and then shoots Jacob. Melissa starts running toward... Now, Melissa's the one that's got the little girl there. She starts running toward him, and he shot her many times. And then he shot Angie, the mother, and the little girl was hiding in a kitchen cupboard. So I don't know if he would have shot her or not. Like I said, this reminds me so much of the Beeson family. So much. So the little girl was unharmed, unlike the Beeson family murders. Or I mean, the G family murders in Beeson, Illinois. Henry Smith, the neighbor that they found in the front yard, came to the front door while this was going on. He was always coming over. He lived by himself. He would just always come over and visit, and that's what he was doing. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. David went after him, ran outside and went after him and shot him in the yard several times in the face and head. David showed no remorse over this. He basically said they had it coming, and he even said that he did little Ashley a favor by killing her family and taking them away from her. Still, no remorse. August of 2012, he got life without parole. He tried to get an appeal, but they denied it. I was so happy about that because he said he misunderstood. He didn't get the right legal... the right lawyer. Something happened, and the lawyer made it sound like he had to plead guilty and get life without parole because the only other option was the death penalty. And then he learned the law while he was in prison and said that no, he would have had more options or something. And I'm like, I'm reading this, I'm like, don't tell me he got this appeal and that he's going to get out. But what I read was August 2012, life without parole, and then I saw an article where he was denied his appeal. So there's different articles out there on this, but that's the story of the Laurel 5. Like I said, I have not heard about this. This is so sad. It was just, I was watching that on Murder Comes to Town, and it is so sad. Very, very, very sad. The only difference, well, these were young people too, but the G family murders involve children, which is horribly, horribly sad. But I had not heard about this one. So I wanted to get this up and get this on here while I could do it early from my subscribers. And I'm going to work on episode 2 of August, episode 2 bonus. I've got over 30 episodes now on bonus episodes on Patreon and Spotify Premium, and it's only $5, and you get to listen to over 30 bonus episodes. So I'm going to keep going until I run out of ideas. But if anybody has any suggestions of anything, please let me know. I've got my email in the show notes, as well as my Instagram, Facebook, X, which used to be Twitter, and the Java Mama link in case you want to go on there and look for some pumpkin spice latte, because it's coming and I can't wait. I cannot wait for fall. Oh, but Murder Comes to Town is highly recommended. Another one I've been watching is Deadly Affairs. Very good on ID. That's a new one. There's only 3 episodes. That is good. At first, I didn't think it was going to be good, but it is very good. I like it because they don't tell you who is the deceased person and who is the criminal. I think I may have talked about this on the last episode. It is very good. But yeah, Murder Comes to Town is another one that I really like. So just very, very sad cases overall. But I have been listening to Crime Weekly. It is a very good podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple, all of the podcast apps, but it's also on YouTube. And they did an episode where they talked about the shooting in Springfield, Illinois of Sonia Massey. If you have not seen that, where the policeman shoots her for no reason, all she was doing was getting a pot of boiling water off her stove. She didn't even have the pot in her hand. They show the video with a different angle. She didn't even have the pot in her hand. And he's saying, drop the pot, and shoots her. It's a horrible, horrible thing that happened just this past July in Springfield, Illinois. But that's Crime Weekly, and it is on YouTube where you can actually watch it and or you can just listen to them on the podcast if you don't want to watch it. But it is a very good episode. One of my favorite podcasts and YouTube channels. So that's all for today. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I'm so happy it's hump day. I got 2 more days left until the weekend. So everybody have a wonderful week, and I hope that you are having good weather and it's not too hot where you are. And have a wonderful week. If you have any suggestions, please throw them my way. And I will see you next time.